Hi everyone, it's Shar. Welcome back to my channel. Happy Tuesday or whatever day you are watching this. I want to do a February TBR, and if you saw my January wrap up, you might be asking yourself, Shar, didn't you try a TBR? Aren't you a mood reader? Didn't you say a TBR gave you anxiety? And all of those things would be true, but February is such a short month, and a good compromise for me is having a TBR. So when I don't know what I want to read, I can just pull off of this list. I've heard someone call this before like hopefuls. I don't know who, but I'm going to say that. These are the books I'm hoping to get to in February, and February is such a short freaking month. I feel like we're already most of the way through it, even though it's only February 6th as I am recording this. But without further ado, let me jump in and tell you about all of the books that I am hoping to read this month. Starting with 8 Perfect Murders by Peter Swanson. I've pitched this book before, so I'm going to keep this brief. So this book follows the story of an author who wrote like this article about the ways people have gotten away with murder. So like essentially it turns out to be like tips and tricks. In the future, many years in the future, people start dying, and lo and behold, it is following the same pattern as this article. So the police get involved, they interview this author, and they're all trying to figure out who is killing these people. I know where I want this to go, but I don't know where it is going to go, but it is on my TBR. She's beauty. She is grace. This is The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshani Chokshi. This is a book that I recently got from Fairy Loot, which I'm so excited about. I think it was an early release for Fairy Loot because I think this book came out very recently or hasn't come out yet. So this book is following the story of this woman who has gotten married. She tells her husband, listen, I'm gonna love you and we're gonna be happy together, but you are never, ever going to look into my past. But her past comes back up because her aunt, I think, passes away and leaves her the home, and it forces her to confront her past, her history, and whatever dark secrets are there. I'm part of a couple of Patreons, and I've heard some other Patreon members say that they've absolutely loved this book. It is a Gothic masterpiece, and if you're not new here, then you know I absolutely love Gothic fiction and Gothic horror, so I'm very excited to get into this. Death Note Volume 1 and 2. This is the Black edition. I have not read manga at any point this year so far, so I'm excited to dive into this. I know Death Note is a very popular manga and a very popular anime series. In Death Note, we are following a student who finds a notebook on the ground, and whatever name he writes in the notebook, that person is then like doomed to die. From what I understand, there is a demon bound to this notebook, and it brings a lot of questions of morality and killing people for the sake of the good of other people. I'm very excited to read this. It should be a quick read. I think it's beautiful, and I really like the art style as well. So this will be coming up soon. The Hookup Plan. So this is a book I picked up at Target. As you can see from the sticker, I didn't know that Target had clearance books, but this book was on clearance for about $2 or $3, and I picked it up because it is blurbed by Ali Hazelwood. So I was like, you know what, I'll definitely try it, and it's also centering Black love, so I was like, for sure, I'm gonna add this to my cart. So this follows the story of London Kelly. So London Kelly is very successful. I think she works in the medical field, and she has her high school reunion coming up. She's not really looking forward to it, but she goes, and there she runs into Drew, who used to be her rival in high school, I believe. They have some kind of chemistry. I think they hook up at some point, and she's like, whoop, that's never gonna happen again. But turns out Drew is her new boss, and is like responsible for taking over the hospital. He's gonna decide whether or not the hospital that she works at stays open, and he's just trying to be a nice guy, and she's like, I don't fucking believe you, I don't trust you. It just sounds like it's going to be a very cute time. Plus he's a millionaire, and I love the whole spoiling aspect. I hope that that is in this book, but I'm very excited to read it. Another book I picked up at Target because I couldn't resist it, okay? This is Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. This is her YA debut. It came out last month in January. I saw this book and I was like, you know what, I was gonna wait to get it from the library, but I've loved everything that Talia Hibbert has written so far, so I'm gonna go ahead and pick this up. In this book, we are following, I want to say her name is Celine. I was right.
Hooray!
I was right. Her name is Celine. Okay, so we're following Celine, who is a social media influencer for conspiracy theories. She's in high school, but she has a pretty good following doing conspiracy theories. And one day she signs up for this wilderness course, and she is shocked and surprised to find that her ex-best friend, who is very popular, is also doing this course. They have a lot of tension in history because Celine feels like, what's his name? Bradley. Celine feels like Bradley has essentially like abandoned her for the sake of popularity and thought that she was too weird. That's not the case. I think Bradley is dealing with anxiety. And this is the story of them going through this wilderness course and falling in love. I was hesitant because it's YA, but I just trust Talia Hibbert and I'm very excited to read this, and I'll make sure to set my expectations accordingly. I think I constantly just say I'm very excited to read this, but the truth is I am, okay? Listen. We'll expand our vocabulary at a later date. Then we have While We Were Dating by Jasmine Guillory. I've tried Jasmine Guillory before. I've talked about this book before, but I'm gonna tell you what it is about. We are following an actress who has landed like this advertisement deal with this major film star. They have a lot of chemistry on set, but they decide to just kind of ignore it. They're cool, it's fine, we'll be friends, until he helps her with a family situation and they find that they are actually having real feelings for each other and they want to try a relationship in this Hollywood world, but they also end up in the spotlight because they're working on some kind of film together. I don't know. It's their love story in Hollywood, and I just think that's going to be very fun to read. For some reason, I think that I really like Hollywood books, so this book will help me decide if that is true, or at least help me get more exposure to Hollywood books to see if that is something that I genuinely enjoy in books. Concrete Rose. Yes, I am finally putting a plan in place to read this book. So Concrete Rose is the prequel to The Hate U Give. In this book, we're following Maverick, who is Seven's father. So Maverick is 17 years old in the story. He has a lot of responsibility on his plate. He is involved in a gang. His father is not involved in his life, and he feels like he has to take care of his family, but he's pretty content to just be a teenager, get up to no good, and just live his life until baby Seven shows up at his door and he finds that he is a single father to his daughter and he wants to try to change his life around to give her a better life. This sounds like a story that I am really going to enjoy. I already feel like a connection to the story and to Maverick. I love just reading about single fathers and single fathers doing the best they can to raise their children. So I don't need it. I don't need it. Ready to jump into this. Whenever the mood to read, why does it sound so weird? It does sound weird, but that's right. Whenever the mood to read strikes me. And finally on my list is You Should See Me in a Crown. This is a book that I've had on my TBR for a long time. In this book, we are following a girl in high school. She really wants to go to college, but she doesn't have the funds to do this. Her town or her high school is hosting like a competition of sorts where whoever wins prom royalty gets to get a scholarship for university. The scholarship is pretty substantial, so she wants to win it, so she decides that she's going to try to become prom queen. But turns out there's a new girl at the school who is also trying to become prom queen. I believe it's rivals to lovers, and I think it's going to be a very cute story. I know that pretty much everyone I've seen read this gives this book 5 stars. I think it will be the perfect, not cozy, but just like easy, comfortable, just cute book to read when I just need something to soothe the mind. But that is the final book on my February TBR. Those are all of the books that I'm planning to read this month. Oops, I'm a liar because that's the final book on my physical TBR. I have 2 books on my TBR for book clubs. So Ninth House, once again, is appearing on this list because I didn't get to it in January, and the book club live shows for the Patreons that I'm a part of is definitely coming up. So I'm going to be listening to the audiobook for Ninth House because I heard that is amazing on audio, so I'm ready to jump into it. And then I will be reading Daughter of No World for Riley's Patreon, and I don't know a lot about this book. I think that in this book we are following a girl who is from like a country that has been torn apart by war. She's seeking protection for her people by going to this land. She's kind of naive from what I understand, and that she just kind of goes in and expects them to help her so she can kind of fine tune her powers. That's the extent of what I know, but you will see my final thoughts in my February wrap up. This is definitely a shorter video. Oh my gosh, I don't think I've ever posted a video this short, but thank you so much for watching this video. I definitely appreciate you being here as always. Let me know if you've read any of these books, if you think I'm going to love any of these books, or if you're like, whoa, I wouldn't recommend that to you. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!